Okay, Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in Meat Suit. Today joined with Scott Saw. Hello, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Mark. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Election day today. Woo!
I know. I was up until about 3 o'clock this morning, looking at all the results and looking at everyone saying it doesn't look very good for Trump in the media.
Well,
It's on social media.
yeah, I mean, I just remember 2016, Hillary 95% sure of winning, and there's no way he's not going to win. There's just no way.
For me, it's just because I've put some money on him to win, and
Me too.
I placed £500 across a few different bets at all states and different percentages and stuff like that. So I'm just hoping that he does win by a landslide and he does take all states, because then I'll get quite a lot of money back today.
Well, I just did a video, and I said that last night I tried to put a bet on. I did 4 different sites, and there was one that was like 100 to 1 for a landslide, right? And so I thought, right, I'll put 200 quid into this, put it on, and it said, no, you can only put 25 quid on. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because the bookies are making it look like Trump's got no chance, as well as the media. So you go, okay, he's got no chance. I'm going to put a big bet on this high, 100 to 1. And they go, oh, no, you can't do that.
It did exactly the same to me. This was weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, when I put my bet on. And the odds for him to win by 80% was 100 to 1 as well. But they would only let me put £100 on. I couldn't put any more.
Which proves that the bookies don't, they're lying. Because if they weren't lying, that would be 2 to 1.
It looks like they're trying to limit their losses.
Yeah, but, if they really believed that he couldn't get a landslide, they'd have it at 1 to 2. They wouldn't have it at 100 to 1.
Yeah.
So exactly. So I put a few on here and there. So it's going to be interesting. My son put his first bet on last night forever, ever, and if he wins, he's got a new bike.
Oh, bless him. Another interesting one that a lot of people are talking about in Charlie's groups and all online and stuff is Nigel Farage. The odds for Nigel Farage to become the next prime minister again are very good like that. They're at 80 to 1 or 100 to 1, ridiculously high.
Well, it's really interesting with someone like that. When he popped up at the rally the other day, I was like, it was a surprise. He was on, because I've been watching all of Trump's rallies. They're just, it's the best stand-up comedy ever.
I've watched a lot of them, but I can't keep up with all of them too.
Well, I've not watched all of them, but I watch as many as I can. I've still got a business to run and kids to bring up and normal life. But it was amazing to see Nigel pop up. And excuse me, it's funny because with Farage in the UK, it's a bit like Trump. It's like they've almost been toxic characters to a lot of people. They still are. I've got I don't know if I sent my one of my poems to a friend of mine who hates Trump, and I said, look, I know you hate him, but look, have a check my poem out. And he sent back a message saying, I'm getting really worried for you because you're now aligning yourself with a very dangerous minority. And I was like, well, I don't think so. And and it's because this racist narrative has been pushed because of the immigration thing was so easy to just call somebody a racist if they didn't think that it was a good idea to put 10 million people into a country overnight. That racist thing is still there, and it's still there's still a little bit of me that's like, well, I know people on Facebook that have known me for 20 years, 30 years, and are just looking at my stuff, shaking their head, tutting, and thinking, oh, he's such an idiot. I can't believe he's so right wing, blah, 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 blah. And it isn't that at all, right? So you got Nigel, who's really a hero in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Because the EU is really just a big paedophile ring, right? And, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but why not? And I think it's going to be an interim thing, don't you? Because I think you put up on a WhatsApp group this morning something about we're stuck with Boris for a while, legally.
Yeah, this is what I'm not too sure how, because Boris has got a few years left as prime minister if he stays there. God knows how he's going to manage that with everything that's been going on. But how do we actually get him out and get Farage in? We can't just do it overnight, surely.
You do it the way that the bad guys have done it. You just go to you go round to his house, you put a gun to his head and say, I think it's time for you to resign, Boris.
Don't give me any ideas, Mark. I'll end up in jail.
I don't think that's the real Boris anyway, but that disappearing act he did in the hospital at the beginning,
Yeah. Well, some people were saying when he came back that they think he's a clone.
Well,
He did look a little bit different, but I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people will think the cloning thing is nonsense, but I just remind them that Dolly the sheep was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, right? They hide technology. They've been, if you look at if you watch the gene decode stuff, the underground bases and all the cloning facilities. So it's not science fiction. It's highly likely that he is a clone, because that's not, it's. I think it's all theatre, don't you? Right now,
it does seem like theatre and pantomime, and it's just one of those things where you're not sure whether to believe in and think, oh yeah, it's just it's all theatre, it's all going along, and things are going to change, or is it really still just happening? It's kind of, how do you distinguish between what's real and what's not at the moment? It's very difficult.
Well, I think the first or second video I put up on my YouTube channel was that this is a time of intuition, and your intuition is the most important thing that you've got. And if you can be in a quiet space, meditate, and look into your heart, you already have the answers. You already know the truth, and the truth resonates through you anyway. And even if you can't pick up on it necessarily, we all have that ability, and which is why so many people are waking up. And it's like they're coming out of the caves, going, "Oh, is it safe? Is it safe to come out?" It's like a torture. And that's why it's so important that people people like us discuss this sort of thing, go into shops without masks on, just to because it gives courage to other. It annoys some people, but it gives courage to other people. You're right. What's up? You've got an alien invasion.
Oh, there it is. You just gave me a brainwave when you said that about the masks on. I bought one of these. I don't know if you've seen them.
Face covering exempt.
Yeah, so I don't particularly like wearing it, but I've bought one and I've started wearing it just to show other people that you don't have to put a stupid mask on. You can wear one of these instead if it makes it easier for them. Because I think a lot of people wear the masks just to try and be polite to everyone else. Where
I think so too.
Don't need one.
Well, I thought about getting one of those and decided not to. And the reason I decided not to is because I thought, well, it's not true. I've not got asthma. I've not got blah, blah, blah. And if anybody says, why aren't you wearing a mask? I'll turn around and say, because I'm not a fucking moron.
I've actually said that to several people. But they don't do very well. And you just, and they still wear the mask.
I was all confrontational at the beginning. Now what I do when I go into anywhere, I went into the supermarket last night, and I literally put on this shield of like protection around me, and nobody bothers me. But when you don't put that on, they come at you. And but I've noticed it's getting weaker. I mean, we've got a full level 5 lockdown here in Ireland. A full level 5 lockdown, yet all the kids are allowed back at school.
It's absolutely, and the universities and the colleges. Yeah, they'll be blaming the kids and the kids next. Oh, the numbers have gone up because kids are all mixed together.
They already did that. In the summer, I went to buy my son his new school uniform, and the guy behind the counter had his mask on, and I was like, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, it's the kids' fault now, isn't it? I was like, oh my God. They just regurgitate anything they've read in the newspaper. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think, like, for example, I was speaking to my granddad yesterday, and he's very old and he's not very well and whatever. And he sits there, just like my mum and dad, sit there every day and they watch the 6 o'clock news while they're eating the dinner. And they just absorb it all like it's all completely true. And they sit there going, oh, it's all happening. When in reality,
every time I ring
we should all know they're lying by now. Surely they haven't just started telling the truth after all these years. Do you know what I mean?
I know, it's gobsmacking. Every time I ring my mum, she's got the TV. She says, I can't hear you. I said, and the TV's on like full volume all day. And she pretends that, Mum, if you're watching this, turn the fucking telly off. Right? And then she goes, oh, you've been busy on YouTube. And I go, yeah, have you watched any of it? Well, because she's watching the dating programs or whatever instead. But it does.
I don't even send the links to my father and my mum and my dad, because my mum would watch it and she'd probably just laugh, but my dad would watch it and he'd be like pulling his hair out. What's he doing? What's he saying? This is not right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that I'm in touch with through the YouTube channel have said the same thing. That families have shunned them, disowned them, told them off, said that you're an embarrassment, blah blah blah. But
this year I'm out with more friends than ever before. Every 4 years or so, when we have the politics in the UK and we're voting for somebody new, there's a lot on my Facebook. I go crazy for a few weeks or whatever. And, there's a lot of people talking and discussing it, and sometimes we have quite a lot of arguments about who's right and who's wrong and whatever. But this year I've lost so many friends, and some of them I've known them for quite a long time, and the cognitive for us, they can't accept what we're saying. They can't accept that the news is wrong, and it's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I've had a couple of friends still having a little poke, but I still like them, and they're friends for a long time, and but I'm not going to engage. And I try to engage. If I do engage, I try to do it with humour, because I think that humour is the key to all of this, really, because we are, when we take everything, all of this stuff seriously, we're reinforcing it. And when you understand satanic rituals, and the repetition and everything else, the mask on, walking in certain directions. It's a bit like when I see the kids have to walk one way around the school with their masks on. It's exactly the same as Mecca when they're walking around, recreating the rings of Saturn around a black cube, which represents the hexagonal storm on Saturn. And then none of them realize it. And then everybody's looking to Mecca every day in their prayers, and they have no idea that they're energizing the satanic energy. But and no disrespect to Muslims, it's not their fault, right? They have no idea. And it's the same in everything's been inverted in the Catholic Church and all religions. But it's all a massive satanic ritual. But I do think it's losing its power. But anyway, we've had a chit chat when we should have really sort of said what is it you want to talk about today? Because you've got a really interesting project, haven't you?
Yeah, I do want to speak to you about the Humanity Project, but that's not why I actually wanted to talk to you today, really.
Start talking then. Go on.
But the Humanity Project so it does kind of fit into what I wanted to speak to you about. So the reason why I was so interested to speak to you is because you're very different to Charlie and some of the other guys. And
I'm basically better looking and funnier, I'm joking, Charlie, I'm joking.
Yeah, you're a bit different to them guys because you talk about more things like you were just talking about the rings of Saturn and how evilness, and you speak about demons and spirits and all that kind of stuff. And I've had quite a lot of experiences in my life where I can't explain them. And the only thing I can think of is something like divine intervention, or I'm not particularly a religious person, although I do believe there's definitely something there. Whether it's, I was saying before, whether it's the Galactic Space Federation, or whether it's the Palladians, or whether it's God as we think, I don't know, but there's definitely something. There's definitely some kind of connection from outside to us. And I've experienced it loads of times. And I wouldn't normally talk to people about things like this because they look at you like you're absolute crackpot.
Well, I think it's too late. It's too late to be worried about that now.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not.
That's the way I see it.
Lay things as they are. I mean, also, I've got the Humanity Project, which again, I kind of, in this madness started happening. Literally just before when it first kicked off in Wuhan. I was doing a lot of meditation and stuff, and I was kind of trying to find my way. And I had this kind of revelation or something, like it felt like somebody just downloaded all the information into my head. And then it all came to me, and then I thought, oh my God, this is what I've got to do. And then when I realized what I've got to do, which is like the Humanity Project stuff, and I look back at the last kind of 15, 20 years, and everything I've been doing up until when I realized what I've got to do, I've already been working towards without knowing I was actually doing it.
That's a very common theme.
Okay, that's good. This is good because you don't really get a chance to speak about this with anyone, and when you do, generally speaking, most people, 9 out of 10 people, just look at you like, okay, mate, whatever. But for me, it was a complete awakening. Like, I could not believe it. I was looking up, going, oh my God, you guys are taking this. You've had me running around doing this, running around doing that, overseas there, meeting these people, literally all of the things, and I've not led a normal life at all. I've been all around the world, and I've lived in Thailand, and I've lived in Spain, and I've mixed with groups of people that most British people wouldn't mix with. I've got Moroccan friends, and I've got African friends, and I've got friends everywhere of all different religions and all different beliefs and all different kind of levels of society. And like I said, like literally everything I've been doing up until this point it's like they've had me doing it without me realizing what I was doing. And then when it came to me and I've looked back, I've gone, oh my God, this is insane. So that's how I kind of know, and I kind of feel that, yeah, something's definitely going on here, and this is right. And I feel like I'm being guided in the right direction all the time. I feel like I've got a guardian angel or more than one on my shoulder all the time. And also, touch wood, nothing bad really ever seems to happen to me, no matter what. I mean, obviously we'll have minor accidents. I've broke my arm and stuff like that, but generally speaking, I feel like I'm protected and looked after.
Well, if you feel it, you're generally correct.
I think so. I mean, there's lots of things I can't explain as well. And also I wanted to speak about the connection. I feel so I think there are things that you can do to kind of open and strengthen the connection with what's going on. And for me, and I wish I have to say it's on video, but it is something to do with drugs. But I find that if I use ketamine, it opens up the.
That's a horse tranquilizer.
Yeah, if it's good enough for a horse, it's good enough for me. No,
by the way, just got to say, anybody watching this, there's no endorsement of drugs on this channel. But it is interesting because
yeah, I'm not saying to everyone go out there and take ketamine. No, but after, you know, when I was younger, I first started taking it. I wasn't aware of anything then. But then when I lived in Ibiza about 10 years ago.
Oh, no wonder you on ketamine in Ibiza.
Everybody was pretty much everyone did.
Yeah.
But when I was there about 10 years ago, one of the first things that completely shocked me, and believe me, I swear to God, it's the honest truth. So I'd had a bit of an altercation with my ex-girlfriend who was living in Ibiza at the time. Her new boyfriend, who was a big security guy, and he didn't really hurt me, but we had a good scuffle, and I got some big bruises and bumps on my head and whatnot. And I went with my Spanish friend, to this place, and when I got to this place was like an old hotel that had been taken over by people, and they'd kept it all nice and clean, and they all got rooms, and it was like a little community living there for free in this old hotel. And it to me, when I got there, I felt this kind of, it felt like I was in God's garden or something, with God's people. I can't explain it. It's just this overwhelming feeling of this is like a special place. And when I was there, the people all seemed like really nice people and whatnot. But anyway, I ended up taking some ketamine, and I went about 20 steps away from my friends on my own, and I went into some kind of trance. And I was standing up, and while I was standing up, I was kind of massaging myself, my head, because I got aches and pains and bumps and bruises, and I was kind of massaging myself while I was in this kind of trance. And it felt like my hands were not my hands. They felt really cold, and it felt like there was somebody else's hands. I can't explain that either. It just did not feel like my hands were my hands while I was doing this thing. And then after about 10, 15 minutes or something like that, I've kind of come back out of the trance a little bit, and then I've realised that where have the lumps and the bumps gone? I was like, I'm going to look in the mirror. I can't feel that. Obviously, I know ketamine's an anaesthetic, and I couldn't feel any pain at that moment. But I've gone back over to my friends like, no, look at this. There's no bumps. All the bruises, I've got lumps on my head. The lumps had gone within 10, 15 minutes, and they never reappeared. It's like my hands magically got rid of them while they were connected to something. I don't know. That's one of the.
I mean, I've had a similar experience without the use. I'm just going to shut this window because it's raining. I remember burning my hand on an Arga cooker, and then just looking at it and going, "It doesn't hurt. It's gone. It's gone," and it just went. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," because we all have these abilities. We've all got these. It's all, everything's based in belief. If you believe something's going to hurt you, then it does, or you actually create it. So drugs are really interesting in that respect. And I don't know if you've listened to the Abracadabra Code videos that are on my channel. There's a couple on there that are fascinating, you know, and they talk about the fact that amphetamines open them up to the energies of the universe. And there's an amazing book I think you'd enjoy by a guy called Chris Everard, which is called what's it called? Ancient Psychedelia, which proves that the pharaohs and Stone Age man had little psychedelic gardens, and they were growing plants that, you know, change altered states of consciousness. You know, magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, peyote, marijuana, all of these things, in my opinion, were put here by God for a reason. And you know, they have qualities the same as a cucumber has a quality, or you know, turmeric cures cancer. You know, all of these things have qualities that are there for us to enjoy, but all of those things have been locked off from us because the system that we've been under, the satanic system, is all about making us feel isolated, individual, and meaningless, right? So you are a meaningless individual who gets born and then dies, and that's it. And in the meantime, between those 2 points, you have to go to work and pay a mortgage, which means death grip in French. You know, which is fraudulent, from a fraudulent financial system.
Yeah,
that's why it's good to talk about this stuff today, because I think when this second term comes in, a lot of the work has been done, and we're going to start seeing, you know, incredible things happen, because this is not the way we're supposed to live. And you know that instinctively. Yeah. That's why you travel around the world and made friends all over the world, because instinctively you followed the vibrational frequency, you followed the vibe.
Yeah, possibly. Everything you just said there, I completely agree with. And that's what the kind of the humanity project's about. I was saying to Charlie on Friday, I was saying that the more I think about what I'm trying to do, the more it feels like I'm meant to try and help to create Eden. I think that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what it is. I think once the evilness and all this badness has gone out of the world, I think we need to rebuild a system and a new way of living and change everything and include everyone. And you know, I think that's pretty much in a nutshell what it is to do that.
Yeah, well, we're all doing it already, because we're multidimensional. So you know what you experienced with ketamine was a multidimensional experience, and lots of people that you know have taken E at raves or done ayahuasca. It's a multidimensional experience, you know, and they demonized it by saying that it's dangerous or it's and it isn't. You know, that you cannot be harmed by taking magic mushrooms, for example. You just cannot.
No, not unless you jump off a cliff or something.
People don't do that. Those are stories. I mean, they make, you know, it's all about demonizing. All the demonization, you know, is like, when have you ever seen 2 people stoned have a fight?
No, that doesn't happen.
Right, you go down the pub, you see it every night. Well, you would if they were open.
Alcohol. I think alcohol is probably one of the worst drugs.
Well, why are there pubs on every street corner?
Yeah, because it destroys families, it destroys souls, it breaks down the community. You know, yeah, same as the why there's, you know, the government and the powers that be have attacked our way of life and how life should be, and they've been attacking it for years, and they've been deliberately breaking families apart, deliberately getting people to drink, deliberately pushing gambling on people, and you know, debt on people, and everything they can to try and keep us down and keep us separated.
I know, we just talked about putting bets on Trump, so we're not doing that. You know, we're still human. Come on, give us a break. Yeah, well, you know, it takes some balls. What you said was that you actually said, I'm not religious in any way, but I've always had this stuff and things that I can't explain. And do you know what? I think everybody has. And we're conditioned to not talk about it for fear of ridicule. But actually, something amazing happens when you do talk about it, because people then come out of the woodwork and say, that's exactly what happened to me. Thank God somebody's talking about it. And, you know, this is actually part of our reality. We are multidimensional, right? So time doesn't exist. We're fighting battles and we're existing with each other on multiple. Our souls are huge, right? They're massive. And this 3D version of us is just one aspect of those of that spirit. But what's also interesting is that there are a lot. I'm pointing a lot of pens at the moment. I don't know why. Sorry. There are a lot of. It's because I used to be a drummer. You see, there are a lot of. There are a lot of false. There's a lot of. Have you heard, Scott, about the fact that the Earth was a facsimile of the original Earth, and it was built as a soul trap, and even when you die and reincarnate and come back is within that trap. So because it's been a soul harvesting scenario for thousands of years, and that's taught by the mystery schools, and the mystery schools are kind of at the core behind most of the secret societies. So it's part of the esoteric knowledge that this is the case. And what I think is going on with this ascension process and the Great Awakening and waking up, and is that we've shifted dimensions and we're actually bigger than we were, but it's all relative, so you can't tell. and all of that kind of negativity is all now falling away. And I've noticed you're saying about the level 5 lockdown, but the school's still being open. We're not supposed to go past the 5 kilometer radius here, but when I've seen the police, or the guards as they're called here, they've just sort of waved me through, and it's like their heart's not in it. It's really quite interesting. It's quite interesting because I think this is
all... from the first lockdown, when we were not meant to travel more than 5 kilometers. I was living in West Wales in Tenby, which I think you can get the ferry across to you, but I went from there to Plymouth, from Plymouth to Birmingham, Birmingham to Tenby, Tenby back to Birmingham, Birmingham back to Tenby, everywhere. And I didn't see no police. I saw 2 police in about 25 hours.
Yeah, because most of it's
lovely and empty.
Most of it's up here. It's brilliant, isn't it? If you just say to somebody, you can't travel more than 5 kilometers, they're self-policing sheep. The people police themselves.
Yeah, I did about 25 hours on the motorway when you couldn't do that.
Good. And I think it's extremely important to do that. Non-compliance. I mean, I've just been, this morning I was posting on the Conservative Party website, on the government website, on Boris Johnson's website, on Twitter. And I said, I do not consent to your fraudulent COVID measures, according to Magna Carta, subsection whatever. And it's just really important that we do not, because most people don't realize that it's all about consent and contracts, which is why, one of the things Charlie Ward's done brilliantly is get the common law people in and
common law guys.
It's just brilliant, right? And
I knew about that for years, and I signed up for them actually. So now I'm a registered registered. What are we called? We're called beings. I can't think of the name.
A living person, a free man of the land.
Sovereign. I'm a sovereign being. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a bad signal here. I can hardly hear what you're saying. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Sometimes it happens. I think I'm a little bit far from the computer sometimes.
Whereabouts? Are you in the UK at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in the Isle of Wight now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I came to find David Icke. Well, I came with my mate, and I also wanted to find David Icke. But then Charlie found him first.
Have you met him yet?
No. I spoke to his son, Gareth.
I got caught in a Force 10 storm sailing around the Isle of Wight once with a dislocated finger, clinging on for dear life, which is how I've seen this. I've used that as a metaphor for this whole year. Just like, cling on. It's going to be okay. It feels like you're going to drown or die any minute, but you're going to be okay. And I think that's important. So what about, have you got close friends that are kind of coming on the journey with you, or have you been isolated and found new friends online? I mean, what's your personal version of this year been?
I've got a few friends that have been on board for years, that we've all known for years, and they've all spoke about it a little bit for years, but same as me, I think, from when I was about 14 to about 18, something like that, I was like, oh, this is going on. Then after a while, you think, well, what can I do as one person on your own? And you just kind of sit back and just see what happens. And then this year has kind of brought them all out of the woodwork again, including myself, including a lot of people, I think. So yeah, I've got some friends that are on board, and I've got a lot of friends that are slowly waking up. So it's been okay. It's been a long year though. I think 2020 has been the longest year.
On one hand, yeah, it feels like it's been really long, and then on the other hand, I said time's speeding up, and loads of people are saying that, and then somebody put in the comments on YouTube saying, "I bet all those people that say time is speeding up are over 50," because that's what old people say. But it really even my son, who's 16, he thinks time's sped up. It's really different, So on one hand, it feels like a really big, long slog. And when you're when you're in a state of fear where everybody, all your neighbors and everybody else wearing masks, and so it does but what I think has been really amazing about it is that for those that have woken up, we all seem to develop this resilience to it. A bit like, having immunity to a virus, right? It's like, well, come on then, I've not been ill at all. I don't know anybody that has.
Yeah.
And I'm just hanging around with high vibrational frequency people, because it is literally about our frequency, and my food habits have changed, my daily habits have changed. I've cut down drinking massively. I hardly drink at all. And And when I do drink, it's a conscious decision, and then I regret it the next day. So that's happening less and less and less. And all that's kind of beautiful, actually. I feel healthier, and happier.
Yeah, the same. That's the same for me. The only difference for me is my diet's still terrible. But apart from that, everything else is peachy.
Well, we got, I think self-judgment is also a thing. I mean, I put myself down as much as I can because I don't want anybody to think I'm too cocky. But you've got to love yourself. You've got to be light-hearted. I think it all comes back to being light-hearted. We've got to keep. I put a post on Facebook the other day. I put a face on Postbook the other day, and I said, "Fuck the virus. Here's Benny Hill." It's just put this Benny Hill music just because it was making me laugh. And I think it's like we live in such an absurdist Monty Python world right now that you can almost do anything, couldn't you?
I think it's very important to laugh about these things. I mean, yesterday again, I was talking to my granddad, and he's about 90, he's very old now, and he's not very well. And I said to him, I said, "Look, granddad," I said, all you need to do is make sure you hang on in there for the next 6 to 12 months when the med beds come out. I said, they'll take you back like 15, 20 years ago, perfect health. I said, you'll be taking Nan down the pub again and having a drink. And my nan and granddad were going, "Oh, that's not going to happen." And I was like, if the med beds come, trust me, it's very likely to happen. And then I threw in about the coronavirus. I was like, well, at the end of the day, I said, you haven't got to worry about dying of old age this year because not one person has.
Well, I mean, my granddad passed away. He got at the beginning of this. He got put into. He couldn't understand what the lockdown was going. He was in like assisted living flats, right? And he was 91, and he couldn't understand why he was a prisoner. And my Pat was a scrapper, right? So he was kicking off with the people there. Why the fuck can't I go outside? That's what he was like, right? And he was brilliant. You get to 91, you're pretty tough, right?
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting put in a ward, and he gave up, and he didn't want to. It killed his spirit, and it was really tough. I mean, I've said before on other videos that I've contained my anger and despair about that because I had to watch his funeral on Zoom. Was because I couldn't get over.
So sorry to hear that, mate.
Well, it's not about pity. This is about the fact that every single one of us this year has sacrificed something or lost something, or it's been a real journey for everybody to look inside themselves and face up to really tough situations. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? I mean, if I lived in California and I was surrounded by all those libtards, with Antifa and BLM on them, I wouldn't want to be there. It's like, and there's been terrible forest fires in California and Australia and places. Lots of people have had it much worse. So it's not about pity. It's about relativity.
For me, I would just struggle with if touch wood and but if someone close to me died and passed away, and they said you can't go to the funeral, fuck off. I'm going. Do you know what I mean? I'd get that. I would get that. I can't go to my own family members or friends' funeral. I would not. I couldn't accept that. I'd end up getting arrested, jumping on the coffin as it was going down or something.
No, I know. I completely understand what you're saying. It's been a case of picking your battles for me this year. And also that kind of thing can cause huge heartache in a family, and because not everybody's on the same page. It's a really tough thing, because the last thing anybody wants to hear is, you're wrong. It's really difficult. This is why you see someone in a mask. Every time I drive past them, I'm trying to fill them full of love, but I also think, you stupid fuck, take that thing off, wake up, do some research, and stop being spoofed. But there's no point if they're not going to work it out for themselves. Then they're just not going to work it out for themselves until they get hit on the head with the truth.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I said this to Charlie. I said, at this point, it gets to the point where you don't know what best plan of action is. You're trying to wake people up by being nice and show them the truth, and not, and then most people just ignore you and turn a blind eye and continue wearing the stupid masks and doing what they're doing. And then for me, sometimes I get quite frustrated with people, and I think, oh, if they don't all wake up soon, then what's going to happen next? What's going to they need to. So I feel like shaking them, but you can't start shaking people. Or I felt like going out and pulling people's masks off and saying, "Take off the mask, you idiot! You're killing yourself." But I'd probably get arrested doing that. And in a few
That's
fights.
the point. That's why you have to pick your battles, right? I was at the Yellow Vest in Dublin a few weeks ago, and we were walking down the main shopping street, and there was a guy. I put it in one of my poems actually. It was a guy shaking his head. He had a very expensive designer mask on and very expensive clothes, and he was stood there on the side of the street with all these people walking past, and I just caught his eye because he was shaking his head at us like we were the biggest morons in the world. Instead of thinking, wonder why these people are doing this. That's what cracks me up. I mean, if I was seeing that, I'd be like, why are they marching? And then I'd go up and speak to them. But he's there shaking his head. And I looked him in the eye and I held his eye and he couldn't look at me. Right? And what does that tell you? There's no conviction. It's kind of like you're looking at something fake. Well, it is that, and I think there's a number of things that I've been reading up on, and also based on my own intuition. One was a post I saw the other day from a webpage. It's all about the Arcturians, which are an interesting idea. Whether it's a level of consciousness or an actual race of people from another planet, I'm still not sure about all of that. And lots of people watching this will have an opinion, but these Arcturians, which apparently I'm one of, been told that. Again, I don't know how true that is, but they talk about the fact that at least 50% of this planet have no souls in them. And so which kind of makes sense when you think about the people that are awake, and then the people that are just walking around like robots and just doing what they're told.
I think that makes sense in a deeper form than that as well, because I think that a big percentage of the planet there's a lot of people that definitely have got a soul, and they've definitely got a big heart, and they're definitely kind and caring and giving people. And then you've got the opposite end of the spectrum. It sounds like a lot of people are selfish and soulless and don't want to help people and only care about themselves and only care about instant gratification and things. That sounds about right to me. That makes sense.
Yeah, so if you were a big, malevolent, horrible AI and you had loads of demons and stuff working for you and to feed you, and you wanted to harvest the souls of a load of people, then you have to create this illusion. Because if you put them in a prison, it doesn't really work. They fight back. They tried it with world wars and killing millions of young men to weaken societies and bring all these draconian. Even the word draconian has the word Draco in it. People don't often pick up on that. Draconian measures, right? So you'd have to pop if it was like the Truman Show. You remember that Jim Carrey film?
Yeah. I think it pretty much is, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? So you populate it with actors to make them believe that they're there, so that soul is nice and juicy, ready for when you want to, eat it or take it. So
they ain't getting mine, mate.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Can I ask you a question? Have you ever had like a long dark tea time of the soul, like a really dark time in your life, which came through maybe a bad experience that kind of put you on a path that was different to maybe the one that you thought you were going to go on?
Yeah, a few, but yeah, definitely, yeah. I went to prison when I was 21. I'm 36 now, but yeah.
Yeah.
Only for 3 months, but that completely changed my life path. I think if that never happened, I'd still be working in mental health for the council or something along those lines, trying to help people and not getting paid very well for it. But because that happened, that's what made me leave where I'm from, really, I suppose. I thought, right then, there's nothing for me here now, so I might as well go off and see what the world's about and where I'm meant to be.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because it's when you get to the point where you feel like you've lost everything you had, that then you can reinvent yourself. But if you don't ever get to that point, then it's easy to just keep going on the hamster wheel and then until you're dead. And which is what a lot of people do, right?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think if that never happened, then I would probably still be working for, the mental health services in Sandwell, and I'd still be stuck
Sandwell?
Yeah,
My brother works at the council at Sandwell.
Not the best place to work, but it's not the best place to work for the money. But helping people. I love that. Was the best job and the only job that I've actually really loved doing in all my life. After I left, I went into sales and stuff like that, and it's not the same, you know.
No, sales is
making money.
Quite nice.
Money was way better, but the inside reward non-existent.
Yeah. So are you going to tell us about this humanity project then?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, what I'll do is, I mean, I could share with you and show you the page and go in depth with it, but I think it's going to be a lot easier if I just give you a brief overrun. I'll send you the link so you can put the link.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the description.
People that want to have a look, let them have a look.
Yeah, I think our signal is possibly too weak to do screen sharing today, but yeah, tell us about it.
And it's, you know, like I said, all the information came to me in December, and basically I've been shown a way to and a system to build so we can recreate the towns and the cities and the communities how they should have been in the first place. So like I said, because of how it all, I think it's Eden, like heaven on earth. And basically it's giving everybody, well, not giving everybody, but giving the people, you know, the homeless people and the poor people, giving them a free home, like an eco home that's self-sustainable. It's got free electricity and free energy from renewable energy. Every eco home in the town or city will have an aquaponics setup attached to it, so that produces a never-ending supply of protein, tilapia fish protein, and then whatever you want to grow.
I'll just interject there because anybody who doesn't know, aquaponics is basically. Can you hear me? It's all broke down then. We got good. I was just going to do a gag basically about aquaponics because basically that's growing food out of fish shit, isn't it? Oh, the signal's broken down right at that tumbleweed moment now.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think you understood that.
It's a sustainable way of having it, really. You can grow like thousands of pounds of vegetables in a very small area.
Yeah.
And it's very quick as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a nutshell, the Humanity Project is a way to build a new community, to all grow our own food and have that harvested and given back to the town, and then create all the restaurants then can be free. So everyone can go out and eat for free in all the restaurants. You know, nobody has to pay for food. Nobody has to pay for rent or mortgages or electricity or anything. Everything that we need to live is essentially free. You don't need to work then. It breaks you away then from the system, because you know there's no need to work to pay the rent. There's no need to work to pay the bills. You don't need to work if you don't want to. If you do want to work and you want to do something, then you can, but you don't have to. Which essentially frees everybody. And the way the system is set up, it's set up as in, so we can pull people out of the cities and towns. So, say for example, you know, a portion of the land and the eco homes will be available for rent on a rent-to-own basis. So, I'm not sure of the exact numbers yet, but you know, you might have to pay 1 year's rent or 2 year, 3 years rent, and then you own that eco home forever. Then you've got no more bills ever again. So it's set up that way, so we can pull people out of the cities. So say for example, we're near, I don't know, Birmingham, and the average house price is 2-bed, 3-bedroom house is £500-600 a month. We can rent those out for £400 a month, and it comes with free electricity, free food, and everything else as well. So it makes sense for people to leave the city and leave paying more expensive rent and all the bills, and come with us. So after a few years, then they don't have to rent anymore. They own the home, and they've got no more bills, and they can quit the job if they want, or they can continue working and save the money and do what they want. You know. So yeah, it's the way it's basically ending and breaking the system how it is, and breaking the modern day slavery. So we don't need the government. We don't need your money. We don't need to work. You know, all these things should be provided for free, and it will also bring a sense of community and bring the community back together, and we can have, you know, education, and you know, we can have people teaching yoga and people teaching everything, you know, all the kind of things that we should have been doing. I think before this corrupt system took over, I think we'll literally remove all of that and put the power back in to the people.
Have you come across Michael Tellinger's Ubuntu contributionism idea down in South Africa?
I've saw something about a Ubuntu project. Yeah, there's a few. I've got a few on. There's Bucky Fulminster. I think his name was. I've got him on the Humanity Project. I've got our friends page, and I've got Charlie and Nick and Pimpy and Santa, and I'll put you on there. And I've got some other guys on there for YouTube. But then I've also got quite a few that of people that have kind of came to me in this last few months and said, "Oh, we're trying to do something similar to you." And then I've had a look and oh yeah, we're all on the same. We're all working pretty much. We all seem to be. It's not just for me to create Eden. There are other people out there, I think, that are fitting, but they're all just slowly coming in. So
well, I think, it's like, have you heard of the monkey nut theory?
Yep.
So is this theory based on the fact that you've got like these monkeys on one island and then monkeys on the other island, and they're surrounded by, I think it's coconuts or some sort of nut, and they can't get it, they can't bite into them, they can't do anything. Then one monkey has the idea of smashing it and then opening it and eating the nuts, and literally then every monkey's doing it on the other island. Right, and this is a proven thing with sheep. I love this story. Sheep grids that stop them, cattle grids, sheep grids, they stop them going out of the field or through the gate, because they can't put their legs in. Well, they've been working for like 50 years, 100 years. They've been around for a long time. And then apparently there was a sheep, I think it was either a sheep in Wales or a sheep in New Zealand, that worked out that if he rolled over it, he got to the other side. And this was a recorded thing by a farmer. He recorded it. I think it was in Wales. And then it happened in New Zealand. And then like the next day, a sheep was doing it in New Zealand. So it's called the monkey nut theory, which to me proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a single point energy field and we're all part of one consciousness. And, some of us, the fact that you've had this idea and other people are saying, oh, I want to do that as well. Michael Tellinger has been at it for quite a long time and is quite evolved what he's done. And he's been on Charlie's show and talked about free energy devices and this one small town idea, which I really love. It's well worth going and having a chat with him if you can and looking at his stuff, because he's really been through it. I mean, he took the banks in South Africa to court about 10 years ago to prove that mortgages were fraudulent. And then he ended up trying to stand for president under the Ubuntu party. And the idea of Ubuntu, which is an ancient idea, that simply means if it's not good for everybody, it's no good at all. It's as simple as that. And that is how the human race used to live before we got interloped by these demonic forces. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and it's an inspiration because it's all about us contributing, every one of us, and trying to move towards something, and then sharing ideas, because everything should be open source. And really, I personally think we're heading towards a time of no money, but we've got this transitional period that might take a couple of generations, where if the Jasara thing comes in, which I think it is, or something like it, when anybody that doesn't know what that is, go and look it up. I mean, in a nutshell, it means elimination of all debt, personal and national and international, and it means a new financial system based upon precious metals, real things. I think it's going to be using a mixture of, it's called the quantum financial system, which is it's just a fabulous idea, and we're all like, is it going to happen? Is it because we can't prove it yet, but it does look, there's lots of signs that say it is going to happen. And there's lots of naysayers saying it's not going to happen, but that's the same with everything. So it's fantastic that you're doing that, and I'll put a link in the video below. Is there anything else you want to tell anybody before we hang up today?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I did miss off a few things I was going to say to you about. You were talking about the archons and different things going on, and I was saying that I believe that came to me, but I believe that. Well, I'm starting. The more actually, I find it hard to put these things into words. The more I think about it, and the more I feel it, is that I feel that when we're born and when we come here, and we end up coming from our mother or whatever, I believe that before we got here, a lot of us, maybe not all of us, but some of us definitely at least, had kind of like a goal. Like, so I think before I was born and I came here, I think I was wherever I was with our consciousnesses or the other souls or whatever. And I think sometimes I'm starting to think and feel that before we came here, we had plans and there were the missions and things that we needed to all come down and do. And we made contracts, I think, as well with other souls, and said, look, when we get here, at some point we'll meet and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And the more I look into it, the more I'm starting to believe this kind of stuff. And we were talking about spirituality, and some people are maybe not no soul, some people are maybe archons and all different kinds of people, I've actually felt my wings. I don't know, maybe I'm just insane or something, I don't know, but not more than once on several occasions. I felt like I've got big, white shiny wings, like from the film Constantine, you know, when that Angel Gabriel comes down, she's got big wings. I've seen and kind of felt them and felt like I'm I don't know, archangel warrior or something. I don't know. I've got no idea. But all this kind of stuff, I find it very interesting. You're the only person I've actually spoken to it properly about.
Well, I'm glad that you feel comfortable enough to say it, because I agree with a lot of that. And
oh, thank God. Thank God.
no, I do. Because that's been my own journey as well. And I try not to use the word journey, but that's what life is, really, isn't it? It's like a maze, like an adventure, and that's what this channel is. Everybody's welcome on this channel. Everybody's welcome to say whatever they want. I've had people on here talking about UFOs and aliens and cloning and demonic energy and all that kind of stuff, because I'm open to all of it, and we're all learning, right? And we're like babes in the, coming into the light, because we weren't given the language, we weren't given the knowledge. And in a way, that's what this has been about on a spiritual level. We come here. I mean, it's quite a headbanger to understand that even the person that you fell out with the most, you had that contract to do that. That's before you got here, and you might have even been contracted to kill each other. It's nuts, right, when you think about it on that level. But this channel is all about everybody, exploring everybody's ideas about it. And because you haven't got the language to describe it, but you just described it very well, actually, because what I'm finding is the guys in the frocks and the paedophile logos on the Pope's outfit, all those guys, they're done. They're false prophets, false gods. And it's actually coming from the people, the real people. And you have a very good vibration, Scott. And you're doing really positive things, and just keep at it, mate, because it's brilliant.
They do say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Well, it's funny. I was saying this for years, that trying to understand that we are just vibrational frequency. One of the things that kind of gets people to understand that is that it's in our language. You go to somebody, you meet someone at a party, and you say, "Oh, I had a good vibe off him." It's actually in our language. The Beach Boys sang about it. Must be real. But look, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and keep us up to date with what you're up to, and hopefully we'll all meet up one day. So, because I'm getting fed up of having all these friends on Zoom. Yeah,
I've been to Ireland before. I've got some very good friends in Dublin. I can't wait until I can come over and visit. So if you're in South, then I'll come and say hello. But I've got some friends in the North as well, so I can come and say hello either way.
Well, yeah, nowhere's more than a few hours away here. So yeah, anytime, mate. And I'd like to bring the kids down to the Isle of Wight and do a bit of sailing, because it's great down there.
Well, I'm probably only here. I think this is like my last step in the UK until I go off to maybe I think it could be Thailand, where I start the first humanity project, because I've been to the poorer areas of Thailand, and I've never seen any people that needed as much help as they do, apart from the African children on TV, on the charity adverts. But I've seen it myself in Thailand, and I think that's the first place for the humanity project. I think my job is to pretty much get the first one going, get the first one off, show the world what we can do and how we do it, and then let everyone else start doing it as well. I'll continue to do it too, but let everyone else start to pop up their own projects.
Why not? We're reinventing now. It's all about recreation.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm just trying to kind of spread as much awareness as I can and draw as much attention to you guys, to you, Charlie, Nick, and all the Sarah Club gents. That's why you were on our friends page on the website. So I'm trying to get as much traffic as I can from every source that I can, try and see what I'm doing, try and see what you guys are doing, and try and
sharing ideas is the only way, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, to do so, I've been making this is a hoodie, but I've been making these hoodies. You should have say
I'll go down a little bit.
But basically, all the t-shirts like this one. No, government's worse. Yeah, we're gonna stick together. Yeah, I've got about 120 t-shirts with all positive and Corona related and Trump, pro-Trump and pro-Q and all the t-shirts. So I've been marketing those to try and, I don't need to make any money from them.
But no, it's important because, you know, when you, I've got a piece of paper here, but when you write intentions down, whether it's on a t-shirt or paper, if they're positive intentions, you make them real in the world.
Yeah.
You make them a real thing. So I love that shirt. We'll put a link to that. Is there a different link to that, or is that on the Humanity Project page?
No, it's all on the Humanity Project website. I'll send you the link. What I'll do for you as well, I've done it for Charlie and I've done it for Nick. I've given them like a discount code, the 20% discount code. So you can put the link and put the discount code. Hopefully, you know, the more people that wear t-shirts and see #SaveOurChildren, the more people that see Q and Trump saving us and all that kind of stuff, the more awareness, the more people are waking up. So that's the whole, you know, that's the whole idea for that, really. Also, I said I'm going to do a competition as well, because one of the things that I'm doing is I work for a company called Q Sciences, and they do all sorts of sprays and stuff. I've got B12 and, you know, C+ and D3 and all the different spray immunity stuff and health and well-being products. I think I said to Charlie, I'm going to run a competition very soon and give away as many because these are basically immunity packs. Give away as many of these as I can to people, because a lot of idiots, like, you know, have been wearing the masks and weakening their immune system, and I think people need a bit of a boost before the flu just come and catch them this year.
Well, they do. That's why I've been promoting natural quinine. I've got some grapefruit skins and lemon skins here. I'm going to be making some after this call. I've got when I make my son's breakfast in the morning, I line up the quinine, the quercetin, the zinc. I've got this. There's a link below to something called Touchstone Essentials, which is this amazing spray that tastes like water, but it removes all the heavy metals from your body. And then I give him his vitamin E because we're in vitamin D, because we're in Ireland, and it's quite sunny now, but there's not a lot of sun during the day during the winter, and all these things add up, and that's great. You know, let us know when you do that, and I'll put the link below. And it's really good to talk to you, Scott. Thank you.
Okay, no worries, Mark. Have a good day. Thank you for everything.
You too, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye.